Many thanks for joining us here on News Desk. And this morning, let's start off with some water issues. And access to potable water is gradually becoming a national challenge. Over the last month and more, a number of communities scattered across the country have had to resort to contaminated water sources for both their domestic purposes and commercial activities. Now, this worrying problem is due to problems with the supply of treated water by the Ghana Water Company Limited. At Goy, in the Adan West districts of the Greater Accra region, for instance, residents are facing the harsh reality of their water sources drying up. The only pipe source in the community has also not been flowing since the beginning of the year. Private vendors have taken advantage of the scarcity to increase their rates by over 400%, increasing the plight of impoverished families in the community. Nsawam has more.
Men of Goy gather to deliberate on the acute water shortage facing the community. The situation has become so desperate, residents now have to bath in the sea, with the salt water taking a toll on their skin. 8 standpipes in the community have supplied affordable water to inhabitants, but for over a month now, they have been dry.
Actually, they told us that the pipe, the laying pipe, when the pressure of the water is coming, it's hard. It normally destroys the PVCs. So the result that the rumors we had from them is that they are changing the PVC from Aveime to Sege. But as at now, we don't know that they are finished or they couldn't.
If you're wondering what is happening behind me, indeed, you can see a lot of barrels. These barrels, I understand, have been here for the past 2 weeks. I am told by the people of Goy they are waiting for the water to flow. The women placed it here so that even if at night the water comes, they can go and call the vendor to come and open the taps so they fetch and get water at a cheaper rate. When this is not working, they have to go a long distance to another village to get water for 50 pesos a bucket. When over here, they can get 3 barrels of water for only 5 pesos. One of the water vendors say he is increasingly under pressure from the town folk who believe he is influential in getting the taps flowing, when in fact he's powerless.
The people are suffering. The women too, they are troubling me at the pipe. Just now they go for the house. There's no water to drink. And then we have suffered for the water.
Goy is now littered with barrels waiting to be filled with water. The only source of affordable water now is this town reservoir. Residents are praying the taps will flow soon, because if this reservoir also runs out, life will be unbearable. From Goy in the Adan West district of the Greater Accra region, I am Nsawam reporting for Joy News.
Let's now head to Nsawam, and we are told that most health facilities in Nsawam in the eastern region have resorted to the services of water tankers for their daily operations. Now, the facilities spend at least 90 cedis daily for water supply, even though government has announced that some public institutions are to benefit from free daily water supply.
Currently, Ghana has been hit by a major water shortage. Consumers in at least 3 regions, Greater Accra, Western and Eastern regions, have been without water for at least more than a week, with people walking miles in search of potable water. One of the hardest hit areas is in Nsawam, in the eastern region. The shortage in that area is attributed to the low water levels in the Densu River. The water crisis, which is in its 4th week, has forced many residents to resort to fetching water from any available water source for their chores. 2 key institutions, such as health facilities and schools, were assured of free water supply from government, but they are yet to benefit. The Nsawam Health Center, Obrejiman and Adredri are just a few of the health facilities struggling to deal with the situation.
The health facilities, some of them have engaged the activities of the water tankers, and so weekly or twice a week they bring them water, and they pay as much as 90 Ghana cedis. And then 2 of the facilities, they were lucky, the MP provided them with polytanks and then give them water as well. And then 2 or 3 of the facilities have mechanized boreholes, so they just pump into the poly tank and then use it. But you know, all these, the mechanized borehole, they use electricity, so it's also very costly. And even those who are engaging in the activities of the poly tanks, the tanker drivers or whatever, they also need money to buy the water, and it's very expensive.
The Nsawam Health Directorate is also expected to hold an epidemic management meeting as a measure to address a possible outbreak of cholera in the region.
Nsawam Adwaji, as a municipality, is known to be cholera zone, and for almost every year we record an outbreak. But notwithstanding that, since there has been this water shortage, at the moment, no, we have not recorded any water-related diseases or any cholera. If I'll be specific, we have not recorded any.
But looking at the trend, looking at how long it's taken government to address the water situation, I've already been told it's entering a month or it's even more than a month. Do you fear of a possible outbreak of cholera within this area?
Yeah, it's possible we can hit with an outbreak. And so as a municipality, like I did indicate earlier on, that in the course of this week, we're meeting with the district assembly to hold epidemic management meeting to address some of these things. So it is possible we'll be hit with an outbreak. It's possible.
The Nsawam Senior High School, though a beneficiary of the water supply from government, say the situation is impacting on academic works.
Because of that, we have locked all our washrooms, and the students are using the public toilets close to the school. But the unfortunate thing is that this morning I saw that most of them were very late. So it's affecting the students indirectly, though they don't reside on campus here. They live close by, some live quite far off. But by the school bus, when I was coming, I had to pick a few to school so that they are not late. But I realized that they didn't have water. Since the problem cropped up, we have had NADMO come to our rescue. NADMO came to supply the school with water. In fact, we got a lot of water in our overhead tank for use, but because of our population, we have about 1,169 students with about 60 teachers, both non-teaching and teaching staff, that use the same facilities. So in a day, the quantum of water that is used is so much. So the water they brought us,
Well, so it seems this water problem, it's spread beyond the Greater Accra region. We were told it's in quite a number of other places. Let's now head to Winneba, where we are told that students and other residents are also struggling to get water as the Ghana Water Company shuts down the water treatment plant in the area because the water source there has actually dried up. Residents who have been walking several kilometers in order to get water fear there might be an outbreak of cholera if something urgent is not done about the situation. Correspondent Kojo Nyakojo is me now over the telephone lines with a lot more. So, Kojo, good morning. Tell me about the situation really at your end.
Well, the situation in the region generally is not good at all, but it is very dire at Winneba because the water treatment plant has been shut down. The water Ayensu River is drying up because that is where the Ghana Water Company gets its water from. It's drying up, and according to the Ghana Water Company, the activities of farmers and fishermen have contributed to the present situation that they find themselves. What's happening is that there is generally no water, and so they have resorted rationing the water to schools, hospitals, other individuals in the household. Now, some of the workers would have to trek to as far as to Aguna Swedru, carrying gallons and things in order to get water. So the situation is like, if you get water today, you are not going to get water tomorrow because there wouldn't be any stuff for you. And schools are really feeling the pinch because the students have started buying pure water, especially students of the University of Education, Winneba, even though the Ghana Water Company, in collaboration with the District Assembly, they have teamed up and they are using some tankers to supply these schools and the trauma hospital, specialist hospital at Winneba. So generally, the situation is very bad. But if you even come to Cape Coast, the Brimso River is also drying up, and the Setrahiman water treatment plant, where the biggest, is also suffering because there are a lot of galamsey activities ongoing. Then the Ghana Water Company says that it has to spend millions of Ghana cedis in order to treat the water. But as it stands now, that place is also even drying up. And so it will get to a point that, during the year 2000, schools in Cape Coast and other parts of the region would have to shut down because there was no water for the students and other residents. So, Prince, that is the general situation as far as the central region is concerned.
So, quite a dire one, it appears. But really, has there been any response from, say, the Ghana Water Company? Has the Member of Parliament for, the area or anything made any interventions whatsoever? Really?
Well, the Member of Parliament, Afenyomaken, says that he is going to table this one in Parliament because it has reached a crisis point, and if care is not taken, something untoward might happen, because if cholera breaks out, then the entire region would be affected. And so that is for the Member of Parliament, and he is modeling up some support in order to get the problem resolved. But for the Ghana Water Company, I have been speaking with the regional chief minister of the company, and he says that, well, they have been embarking on education of in respect of that for farmers and fishermen to stop doing some activities at the banks of the river in order not to bring the situation to this point. But I think try as they do, the farmers and the fishermen will still go on with that one. And so they have been, according to his words, they have been cracking an old dam, and that is where they get the water to supply to these people at Winneba.
Okay, so that's an interim measure, I suppose.
Exactly. Because according to him, if it does not rain, there's going to be a serious situation on our hands. And if there is no water, the entire region will be in a serious mess.
Wow. Kojunyaku, many thanks for that particular update. And that was Richard Kojunyaku reporting there from Winneba in the central region about the water situation there as well. But let's go back to Nsawam, and we are told that food vendors in that particular town have resorted to treating polluted water from streams and ponds to use in preparation of food they sell to the public. The residents also say they fear an outbreak of cholera as food vendors continue to ply their trade with unclean water.
For most residents in Nsawam, this is the only source of water for now. Shilai J is one of the few people here at Nsawam operating an eatery. She runs a 24-hour local food joint. She shares how they struggle to get water for the business.
We are suffering about water. Normally we have boreholes here and densu, but the densu is too dirty for us. So we have been buying pure water and boreholes. The business is not going through, and we lost plenty of customers. When they come here, they don't have water.
Has it reduced people coming here?
Yeah.
Why? They don't want to come and eat? Or?
Yeah, because of water. They don't want to come here to eat.
So it has affected your business? People don't
really come here
like they used to?
Yeah, they used to come at first.
Okay, all right. But is there a way that they feel scared about the source of water?
Yeah, they feel scared. How will you get water to cook food? There is a question.
True.
There's a question there.
They are wondering where you get water from.
So if it's with me, I will not go.
You not go?
Yeah.
But so that is the situation you're
customers. We are suffering. We are suffering.
Several other food vendors like Bismarck, who also run a fast food joint, shares how far they go in their struggle for water.
We go far away to get some, but sometimes we don't get some.
If you go far away, where exactly do you go to get the water?
Sometimes we go to Amasamai. and sometimes we go to Piabo, the faraway place. Sometimes we didn't get some. Sometimes when you get some, these gallons, we when you get some, it's 1 cedi. It's affecting me because the water is everything. You use water to do anything here. It's a problem.
So like this morning, before you started cooking and all that, where did you get your water from?
That's what I'm telling you, that we go far away, get some. Go far away. Right now, it's problem. It's problem because the water I used to cook, used to do anything.
Even the fortunate ones who live around Wafapai joined long queues each morning to get water from this borehole. Ibn Azalati is the owner of the borehole, which has become the survivor for residents.
I can say it's bad because they come here and queue from 3 a.m. up to 12 midday. Before, at times, most of them don't get and they go back.
School children travel long distance to get water daily. The students say the situation is affecting academic work.
The water situation has become a very great hindrance to most of us in the school because we have to walk very long distances to places in search of water. And it has made most of the students come to school very late, and it is really affecting us.
We, the students of Nsawam school, is greatly affected by the water problem in Nsawam. And because of that, before we can get water and bath and come to school, we have to travel about miles before we can get water to bath and come to school. So we think the government should put in measures to get us adequate supply of water so that we can get enough water and bath.
The effect of the water shortage may be felt even after the situation is resolved, as desperate residents continue to draw water from every access point, which safety is not guaranteed. Matilda Hogan for Joy News in Nsawam.
So from Nsawam in the eastern region, let's check out the situation at Mingo. And this time round, we are told that pupils of Ahriam Basic School at Mingo here in Accra are forced to bath seawater to class because the only pond serving the community has dried up. Now, teachers in the community are also forced to go to class without taking their bath sometimes. The situation follows an acute water shortage that has hit the area for weeks. Joining us, Kwete Nate has been to the area and is joining me now on phone with a lot more on what he saw over there. Kwete, so how bad is the situation at Ningo, Ahriam to be precise?
I must say the pond where the residents usually draw water from is dried up. You can see the cells on the ground. Everything is now bare ground. And when I went there, I saw children and then their mothers as well. They dig small pits where the pond is. So usually they wait for some water to accumulate in those pits. That's what they said. But when these little pits they dug dry up, they resort to the sea. That's where they bath. And the people tell me that usually when it's in the afternoon, they feel sweaty and they begin to itch. And that sort of takes their attention away from what the teacher is teaching. When I went there, I saw some of the children sleeping. Some were absent-minded. And the headmaster over there told me that this has severely impacted on the grade and performance of the children.
So does that in any way suggest that people of Ahriam do not have access to pipe-borne water at all?
The taps have been closed for months now. In fact, it has been locked. The residents tell me they hardly see water in the tap. And when there is water, it's around 1 a.m. and it trickles for about 30 minutes and it ends. So many of them resort to the pond, which is now dried up. They tell me that it's very expensive buying water from the tanker operators. So it's quite a dire situation for them there.
Many thanks for that update, Kwete Nate, and he joined us with that report he filed from Ahriam at Ningo. We'll be trying to get the Ghana Water Company Limited to give us some answers as to really what measures are being put in place to ensure that the situation is worked on and improves in the coming days. But we are told that the Water Resources Commission has, meanwhile, dismissed suggestions that the shortage of water currently plaguing the country is due to the drying up of some water bodies, including the River Densu. According to the Principal Basins Officer, Mr. Roland Abraham, the problem is as a result of the poor implementation of the special distribution process, which he says is a national problem. Now, he was speaking to my colleague Mamavi Usoboji earlier on the AM show.
You know, when you look at the Volta River system, which actually covers about 70% of this country, it is not dry. When you get there now, you find out that we have a lot of water.
Can we say same about Densu?
Densu is dry at the upper reaches, but when you get to the down area where we have the Wager Lake, we have a lot of water. You know, so
so if we have a lot of water,
yeah,
but we still don't have access to potable water.
Well, it is about spatial distribution, and this is what we have been trying to engineer over the years. Currently, the situation is not that bad around the upper reaches where we have some interbasin water transfer from the Volta to less, you know, endowed water resource areas. You know, we are treating water actually at the Volta area and then transferring it. We call it interbasin water transfer currently. When you look at this document I have here, this is the Densu River Basin Plan, the Integrated Water Resource Management Plan. There are some proposals in it which recommended that because of the ever-growing populations within the basin, we need to transfer water from other sources. And then even within the same basin, such as what I'm describing now, at the lower end of it, we have the Wager Lake. And the Wager Lake was actually built to also serve the purposes of irrigation that take a lot of water. And this is not happening because the state farms,
because it's still in the book.
The state farms are down, and we have a lot of water. What is treated for more than 50% of Accra, we could also pump raw water, you know, to the Nsawam area, Nsawam Edrejir area, which will save this situation. These recommendations and then views are all there, and it is.
Who is supposed to act on that?
Well, it is a national affair. You know, I will not put it.
Oh, there should be. You know who is supposed to implement.
I will not put it
the fine things you have in that document of yours.
Well, I will not put it at the doorstep of Ghana Water Company because sometimes some decision will have to be taken beyond the Ghana Water Company, beyond the Commission, to actually put in the infrastructure that will actually transport or transfer water from, well endowed places or the richer places to the less privileged
I have
areas.
a lot of follow-ups, but let me engage Madam Hano Wusokranting, who is with the Wasa Association of Communities Affected.
Right, so like you did hear there, Hannah also Cranting, also speaking on the AM show, said the commission, that's WACAM, has not done its job well and needs to step up its game to safeguarding the country's water bodies.
I don't think they're on top of their jobs. I mean, if you look at the act that established the Water Resource Commission, and you look at Section 2.2, the act is Act 522 of 1996, Section 2.2 ABC. It spells out their role as a commission, that they should manage, they should ensure the utilization of water, and then they should be responsible for the general good of the water systems. And having three, we are lucky, we have three of such water systems in the country. The Volta that you talked about, we have the the southeast water system, and then the coastal water systems.
Southwest.
Southwest, and then the coastal. Yeah. And you realize that if you look at policy, they are also supposed to formulate policy. And the policy was formulated in 2007, which again detailed what their role should be. So when you want people in the mining sector to have access to water, it is their responsibility to ensure that in giving out such water bodies to mining companies, the communities, the the Ghana community would not be starved of water.
And you did hear the Hannah Usukranting of Wakam. You're watching News Desk here on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. We're taking a break. When we come back, we explore other issues, including the very controversial politics.